Hi there, everyone. How are you? Hey, hey, hey. I'm trying to find my screen. There. Hi, welcome to this live episode of Soul Talks with Esme, an online talk show where high conscious topics are discussed with the intention to share uplifting stories and practical tips that may help all of us heal and consciously move forward in our happy evolution, happy soul evolution. So today is Sunday, August 30th, the year 2020, and we are live on YouTube channel Happy Soul Evolution, Facebook, my Facebook business page at intuitive.esmegreg, and my Facebook page at esmegreg. So thank you so much for being here. I would appreciate it if you do like this content, to take a moment and follow, subscribe, like, and share this video. So thank you for joining us live, and please do say hi in the comments. I think I'm hearing some comments already. So again, welcome to this episode of Soul Talks with Esme. This is episode 6. And today's topic is how to use language for emotional balance. So how to use language for emotional balance. To discuss this topic, my special guest is Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a holistic speech and language pathologist, and she prefers to look at communication needs from many angles. She has a master's degree in communicative disorders from San Diego State University in California, and she has been in the field for 20 years. She has worked with a variety of clients of different ages, and she loves finding the key that unlocks the issue and seeing that the huge transformations in her clients. That's amazing. Elizabeth has 12 years experience in the study of the excellence of communication, neurolinguistic programming, and Hawaiian esoteric teachings like Huna and Ho'oponopono. She uses this knowledge to help clients and their families get a well-rounded hold of good communication and mastering the life they want. Elizabeth believes that language does not describe your universe, it shapes it. So let me bring on Elizabeth. How are you guys? There she is. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Thank you for being here. I'm reading your bio, and it's your experience with language is just amazing. So I am excited for our topic today.
Excellent. Me too. Real quick, where was the link that I'm supposed to post?
Oh, yes. So
for posting it, I want to tell my friends about our interview today.
Yes. And everybody, please do share the link. It's you can find it on my profile. So if you go to my profile, and then you can just share it with your friends. So while Elizabeth is trying to find that, oh yeah, I hear my voice, so that's it. So let me say hi to some of our friends here in the comments. I see Anisha. Thank you. Hi. Sion is here.
Hi, Sion.
Veronica is here. And thank you, Anisha, for sharing the link. I appreciate it. So so today's topic, so we're going to talk about language, and Elizabeth, you have what's your puppy's name? I say puppy.
Mimi.
Your dog
Oh,
Mimi.
did she show up?
Yes. Okay, so tell us. So tell us how you got started, or what got you interested in language and communication, and how, just why did you choose that, and how has that been an important part of your life?
Well, really, it goes back to the quote that you said, the last line there. Language doesn't describe your universe, it shapes it. I don't remember where I heard that quote, but it really resonated with me the first time I heard it. I actually tried to look it up before coming on, and I couldn't find it, so I'm not sure exactly who said it, so I apologize on that part. But, language shapes our world. Like, how many of you say pain in the ASS or pain in the butt, or, oh, that's such a pain in the neck, right? I don't know how many, like, you want to put little thumbs ups, like how many people say that. But, I had an injury many years ago where I couldn't sit down on hard surfaces without having pain. And I had this pain in my behind where I sat, and then I realized, oh, I say that, right? Or I used to say that. Well, I used to say it now, but at the time I was saying that, and it really came to mind. It really made the point clear to me, of what are we saying and how are we creating our universe with the words that we say. So, like the signs, there's actually been some research about the signs, like when there's water on the ground, in the United States, at least, when there's water, something spilled, right, in a walkway or a hallway at restaurants or at different public places, there'll be a sign and there's a picture of someone falling, and it'll say, "Don't fall," right? And when that was researched, they got the findings of that. They took it away, changed it. Different places will change it to different words. It might just say wet, right? And they actually found that people fell less often because the sign was changed to wet instead of don't fall. Okay. So, and if you look at interaction-wise, you can think about when little kids fall. So, interaction-wise, say you have a child around 2 years old, and they're jumping, you're out on the yard, they're jumping, they're running, they're playing, and he falls. So those eyes go straight to, where they're going, right? Adult parent, they're looking for you.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Well, they already fell, right? They fell. And then what happens? The eyes come up and they're looking at mom or the supervising adult, right? And right there, the mom's reaction is very important. Parents know what I'm talking about, or you're taking care of your best friend's only son.
Right. Yes. It could be the caregiver. You could be the niece, the aunt, or the uncle, or
like, oh no, I'm responsible, right? Now, how do you react? Because the adult's reaction could literally determine this child's future forever. If the adult says something like, "Oh my God, you poor thing. Let me see. Oh, are you okay? Oh no."
Mm-hmm. That comes from a place of caring and love and concern.
Caring and love, but what does the child hear? Poor.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
Poor thing.
Right.
It's not a good
Yes. Word. Let me see. Oh no. Right. It's all on the, you need someone to rescue you. Mm. And a lot of times the crying is more effervescent, right? And, now on the other hand, the adult says, "Oh, that was an excellent fall." You put your hand down, you only barely tapped your head. That was great. Good catch. What are you saying there? How many of you know?
Are you reinforcing
falling
for them to fall?
Well, you're letting them know. You know what? Falling is a natural state. That's how you learn to walk. little 1-year-olds, 1.5-year-olds, they fall because you have to start falling in order to get your foot forward. I mean, that's literally how you start walking, right? So falling is natural, and if we have our adult framing it as natural, it's okay. Oops, I made a mistake. I got this, right? And the parent says, oh, you can take care of yourself. That's so different than the, oh my God, you poor thing, I need to cradle and cuddle you. Yeah.
Wow, so true. Let me pause you for a second. We have some comments.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have
Already.
Anna is saying my daughter looks me straight in the eyes, like when she falls, like you said, and agreeing. People are saying that this is a great topic. Fernando Vasquez is saying thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, people are loving this. So thank you for your comments. And yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I don't like that phrase, you poor thing. But I didn't think of the, oh no, are you okay? Coming from a place of concern, that makes them feel helpless.
Right. It's all in how you shape how you say it, and then your actions also. See how words create our reality? Of course, it's coming from a loving place, but the words that you're saying, both of them are coming from a loving place. The words that you use are very, one is very different than the other, right? So, like the adult, the excellent fall adult could even say something and make it fun. Like, see how quickly you can get yourself up, see if you can get up as quickly as you fell down, right? Something like that, and occasionally, they might cry initially at first too, if it might hurt or something, but you got this, you're safe. And that's what little ones, our children need to hear. You're safe.
Excellent.
Yes. Right.
So what are the best words to say? Like, even if the kid, well, let's say, maybe they are bleeding a little bit, or, they're crying a lot. I would think most females, let's just put it that way, whether you're the mom or the aunt or the caregiver, we want to run and grab them and make them feel better.
Well, as you're checking them out, you're not just going to look over, oh, you're good. Like it's, I don't mean that. I mean,
like that commercial where the lady's with her cat and the kid says, Mom, I fell. And she's just enjoying the cat. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
And she just yells like, get a Band-Aid. And the kid yells, I'm bleeding. And she says, get two. Like, so you're not talking about that. It's more, deal with whatever may be going on.
You go up to the child, you help them brush off. I mean, of course, you're checking, okay, his head is fine, is, shaking off the dust, right? And letting them know, oh, as opposed to, oh no, right? There's a difference.
Freaking
no, out. Right? Oh my God, are you okay? I mean, sometimes I do see parents that go, their intonation is that, oh, so, right? Oh my gosh, I have to fix everything for you, right? As opposed, and they're taking care, and then it's the holding for like 5-10 minutes, right? As opposed to the parent that says, oh, you've got this. Oh yeah, revising, checking. Oh yeah, nothing is scratched, nothing is broken, right?
Yeah. So like you're okay.
Like, yeah. And of course, it's a little 2-year-old.
I think I've been on both sides of the spectrum. And then I must say, as a Latina, there's a lot of parents out there that they would react with following up with a spanking, because, punishment, because maybe you fell, because maybe whatever you were doing. So then you're, it's like you don't get any of those. You're just getting a spanking or.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, we're talking they're outside, they're playing, they're just running around, and you're outside supervising, and it's a 2-year-old, and at that age, it's just all about fun, right? And we want to keep that fun. And, especially at that age, we're helping them shape their personality. That's part of where that life lesson of, it really literally can change and can affect and get into their ideas of who they are and what they're able to accomplish. Like I said, the parent whose child says, or the child whose parent says, you've got this, whatever comes later as an adult, they could see themselves as they've got this in the future, whether or not it's an actual physical fall or, more of like a metaphorical fall, right?
That is so
Then,
true. And so
as an
important.
adult, yes, exactly. I do have a friend who's a dear colleague, dear friend of mine. He's a life coach. He's known him for a really long time, and he's a lot older than me. And he has given me some really great insights and examples. And he's British with Indian ancestry, so he's fun to talk to. And he told me that he actually worked at a primary school many, many, many years ago. And he knows some of the children that he worked with back in the day, and as adults now. And back then, the well-meaning teachers, the well-meaning adults said, don't do X, don't be stupid, you'll be good for nothing. And at the time, it was believed that that would get the children to work harder. It would motivate them. That's what the old belief was, or the belief at the time, and he was telling me that he knows these adults now, and they have, a lot of those types of beliefs that, they are literally good for nothing, so even if it comes from a positive place, we still have to be aware, what are we saying and how does that feel? If you think about like today's teenagers, like a typical disagreement with adult family, like the adult says, don't slam the door on your way out, right? Their brain hears, don't slam the door, right? Well, actually, their brain hears, slam the door. Right, right. And what happens? They do it, you get angry, and then it can snowball, right? But, the unconscious mind doesn't process negatives. They only hear the do it. So that's how much the words you say can have power on your universe. Sounds like you're starting to get this, yeah? On how it affects. And how old is your son, I think?
Yeah, my son is 16, and we definitely sometimes there's he's at this stage where he knows everything, and I'm just an old lady. He actually calls me a boomer sometimes. Like jokingly, but still, and but yes, the teen years
Right.
is it's a little difficult, because I was that mom taking care of him, but now I've allowed him and taught him to be independent. So in his mind, he does everything, but in his mind, he does his own clothes.
Yeah.
He makes sometimes his own food. I mean, like cereal, or like boils water for ramen, or toast, or sandwich. And so in his mind, he's like, but I do everything. And I was like, well, let's put that in perspective. Like, you're doing what you're asked to do, what I've taught you to do, blah, blah, blah. It's okay, things like that.
Yes, exactly.
And we can have disagreements based on semantics.
Yes, and semantics. And really, when I'm doing speech and language work, there's a big part of that. Like what the word means to you doesn't even necessarily mean the same thing as it to him, right? So that's another layer of that as well. You know, like not even necessarily saying you poor thing, but the, oh my God, right? And then the look on your face, right? And following your words with your actions. And are you congruent with, this is what I'm saying, am I acting along those same lines, right? So there's that whole other level of language, you know, like, okay, he feels independent because this is what he knows, right? Just like the 2-year-olds, that's, you know, they just know running around and having fun, and, you know, little kids, children, right? Their language is emotion. It's learning how to put words together and learning emotion and learning when they're supposed to have different emotions. So the language that we use around them is really huge. You know, luckily we've learned not to say those things like stupid, and because it's not as motivating as belittling to the inside. So that whole idea comes into my first tip is to say it the way you want it. And, you know, instead of, you know, don't put your toothbrush on the sink, right? Instead of that, put the toothbrush in the holder, right? Instead of don't hit me, please be kind to me. You know, don't hit your sister, right? Please use nice hands with your sister, you know, especially when they're like, you know, you get the 3-year-old and then there's like the little baby infant, right? Usually in the home.
Or
be nice.
Hands to yourself, but so use them in a positive, yes, without the don't.
Without the don't, yes.
So focus on the do's. Do this, do that.
Yes, exactly.
Like this is the behavior. So it's like setting boundaries, but with a positive connotation. So
right,
these are tips for children, or just tips in general?
Yes, both.
Okay.
You know, like yes, how do you want it? You know, I mean, that goes like, you know, people, when you're posting, say you're on Facebook as we are now, you know, are you posting, this guy cut me off and he wasn't wearing a mask and he came out, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you're putting so much energy into what you don't want, right? And then everyone else, oh, I know this happened to me, right? That's what people do. I mean, there's a level of commiserating, but in
the negative. That's why we love complaining, gossiping,
in the negative.
You know.
Well, yes,
complaining,
yes, exactly.
Or, you know, just bringing out the negative or talking about a negative event. I think our brain just, I mean, if you put a post about my child fell and where I'm at the hospital type of thing, versus like, oh, we're at the playground playing, you're going to get 150 comments on the, oh my gosh, is everything okay? What happened to your kid? You know, about being in the hospital, versus the happy post about you being at the playground having fun with your child, for example. I think most people.
I think I know a lot of people have that need to commiserate, and so we've become so used to that. But I want to challenge people to, you know what? How about let's post that my son's in the hospital because this happened and he's okay, right? Or, you know, if we think about influencers, do influencers post things that we want to hear, or do they post something that is commiserating, right? Influencers post, I'm at this party, I'm at this event, you know, I went to Disneyland at a special, there's a special parade, and like, who are those people going by? I knew somebody that works there, and like, how are they getting that perfect spot right there? I want that spot. And he says, oh, those are the influencers. And I'm like, oh, because they're gonna say the nice things, right? So I want to challenge all of us to say those nice things, you know, and I actually picked this cup randomly, but I
closer.
like
Make it happen.
It says, make it happen. It's on the what I want to do, right? And that's like advertisers love that, right? The just do it. It was such a huge campaign, and it was so positive because it got people moving, so I want to challenge everyone to say it the way you want it, and a lot of times people waste their speech. They waste the opportunity to connect with others in that positive way. And, if we go back to the children, the a lot of parents nowadays, especially with earphones like I have on right now, and if I'm pushing my baby on the stroller, there's so often I see families and the parents have the stroller and they're on their phone texting someone, listening to someone. Like, where is that connection with the child?
No interaction.
No interaction.
And so what is the importance of language for babies? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, it's huge. We need to talk to them so they can build their language and vocabulary and knowing what to say. And this is like huge in my field. Going back to my British Indian ancestry, older friend, my mentor, colleague, he loves telling me about the old days. Back before phones, people talked to their babies, pointing out names of tree and what's happening, and and just so connecting with them, and gave just all kinds of different words. That's those are the houses and the colors and the actions. It's just, we need to talk to the children so they build their universe and they build their words. The families that are so oblivious and texting and on the phone, they're lacking that connection. So there's that social connection that they're missing. They're also missing the belonging,
like a family bond.
The bond, right? And one of the big fears of humans is that the fear of abandonment. So, what do you think is the connection, or the child? You're the child. Do you feel connected to your parent, or do you feel the parent's connection to their phone? Right? What are you feeling?
That's so true.
Yeah, do we have answers over there? Do you want to have some people answer?
I don't think they're commenting right away. So
okay.
If you guys want to comment, go ahead while I'm reading. Let me just read some of the comments.
Okay.
Going back, Martha is saying hi. Sion she said, Sion, sorry, says true. I think this is going back a little bit. I think my mom was a good example of that. She would say, let me see how it looks, looking at a 1-inch wound because Sion climbed trees and rooftops. And so then mom would say like, oh, you'll be fine. Everything is okay. And Sion always believed her. So yeah, that's a great example. Awesome mom.
And Zion is a mover and a shaker in the adult life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her influence to Zion really, like she's a BAD, or like ASS, yeah. and how she affected, her son, of how he's able to be who, right? The soul, like you say, the soul talks.
Yeah.
Yes. Like that's yay, mom.
Yeah, that's very good. And yes, Anna is saying that her son is 16 and also he slams the bathroom door, and she has asked him not to do it, but still he does it. So Anna, and now you know the trick. Instead of saying "don't slam the door," what was the phrase instead?
Well,
Instead of
yes.
saying "don't slam the door,"
what do you want to happen?
so the opposite would be like,
say it the way you want it.
Please be careful with the door, or you close the door carefully behind you. And
or please close the door quietly.
Mm-hmm. So we didn't get any comments to answering your question. So go ahead with repeat what you were.
Okay.
What you were.
I hope you don't mind. I've got some notes because this is so important to me.
No.
Like,
and we didn't mention the word no. Saying no.
Yes, this is part of it. We're getting there. You know. So like with Zion, the metaphorical fall, or the real actual physical fall, they know they can handle it. They know they can get up and be back on their feet. Yeah. If we want to talk about closing the door, well, it depends on how, was it Anna?
Mm-hmm.
And
Anna.
Anna, yes. What does she want to happen? Close the door quietly, please. You know what to do. I mean, if she said it enough, she could maybe even go to the point where you're 16. I know I can trust you to do what you need to do. Please remember to close the door quietly. We talked about it, right? And instead of having to say it every time. And the idea that I brought up was if there was an argument, when there are emotions, sometimes we have that quickness and you're not necessarily thinking. So, okay.
Things just come out and you regret them.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other, that's another layer.
That's a whole nother show. We can do one show on that.
I know. Well, that's another layer, is well, who are you being, right? We're talking about controlling and being aware of our words, because words have power, right? So when we're aware of everything we say has meaning, then even when we're upset, we can control our emotions with our language, like things like posture, the breath that you take, you can tell how someone is feeling based on their breathing. You're happy, you're upset, you're angry. And, those techniques that a lot of people say really work, of taking that second and take a breath, and in speech therapy, a big part of what I teach is abdominal breathing. Is the best breathing in general for speaking. Like if you're not talking with your abdomen and you're,
it activates those muscles and it helps you.
And it helps you center, or it just helps you project when you have abdominal breathing. And it just made me think of, some of the techniques that we use, and like if you're hunched over, and that's one thing also that we can be aware of, when not just, if we're going apart from that argument scenario, so many people, especially if we're working online, there's that forward typing posture, or like, if you could see, like I'm like hunched over, like just the shoulders forward, and I know, as you like pray, but like that has a meaning. If you think, like, if you just say like this and you're forward, I feel great.
Right. It's like,
I feel great.
It's like even your energy is just low.
That's, and without realizing it, a lot of people have that forward posture. I know when I'm driving, like sometimes I look to the side, actually, well, not when I'm driving, but when I'm passenger, when I'm in a car, I look to the side, and some people even have the forward posture. right? All of that affects your speech and how you're able to deal with emotions. I mean, there are so many holistic people out there that handle all of that of the posture. There's some of how it affects the emotions, right? There's also techniques in speech and language therapy of the voice and the posture, and for actors and performers. But in general, for those of us, just having that straight posture and paying attention and looking in the mirror and breathing from your abdomen and taking that second, if we go back to that conversation with Anne's son, taking that, or your son, or anybody's who's listening, just the right, like if you're truly abdominal breathing, I mean, there might be a little shoulder movement, but not much.
And so just taking a few deep breaths to calm down.
What I focus on really with my clients is looking at the abdomen and attending into your own body and the abdomen, and focusing, and then regroup. Okay, what do I want to say? Frame it and say it the way you want it, right? And make it so the child can stand on their own feet. Based on you as parent, you're giving them, they're creating their world with the words that we use. So when we have those parents that have the phone, there's that disconnect, right? So there's the social disconnect, and then there's also the emotions not being on the child, right? So then you have to think about, okay, what are you choosing to connect into? And over the last 20...
Sorry, so the child sees that or translates that as my mom or my dad or my caregiver doesn't care. They don't love me because they're not paying attention to me. They're more focused on this than on me.
There are a lot of things that can happen,
Yeah, so the child can translate that and absorb that and make a decision on that.
Well, how many families, when they're going on to a restaurant, have the iPad with the kid, they're entertained, they're not paying attention to the adult conversation. There's the disconnect is you're in your own little separate world and the parents have their separate world. And a big part of what I work with parents all the time is that that interaction piece. Children learn from being interacted with. Children learn from conversation around them as well as conversation to them. So they want to hear the two sides. They need to hear the two sides. And when there's so much distraction and entertainment, or whatever you want to call it, that can take you, it puts that wall there, right? I mean, almost a literal wall with the iPad,
Mm-hmm.
or the phone, because the phone is between you and your baby or child, however old they are, and nowadays it starts really young.
Really young. And we're teaching them to tune out. We're teaching them to avoid real life settings. Ignore, here, this is so you can ignore me. But we're also using it as like a numbing mechanism, right? The adults have the wine, the kids have the iPad.
And, we need to go back to the inside and the emotions and what are we connecting to? And, what am I posting on Facebook? Is it the way I want it? Or is it letting other things come in? If you've seen some of those news shows on TV regarding, there's always something happening, and it's that external, and how are you reacting to it? Like there, you know, I could just pick anything about what is happening right now, you know, on the TV, on YouTube, on all of the social media. There's so much going on that can provide stress, right, to the adults, and it's become very reactive. So when we talk about emotional regulation, what am I listening to, right? Language, basic speech and language is what am I saying and what am I hearing? You know, that is our communication. So what am I accepting that is being told to me? And, you know, they're the people that have the external locus of control, like he did this, you know, she did that. And, you know, like some of your previous guest, I remember Lisa was saying, you know, that all those people that she worked with were mean to her, and it completely shaped her experience because of the things that they said to her, right?
Yes.
So, you know, we take that to our daily life. How much are we going to hear people say things around us about, you know, 2020? And, you know, I mean, just I don't have enough hands to talk about everything that's been happening lately, right?
And all of that ties into, how about we talk a little bit about the neurolinguistics
The neurolinguistic programming. Yeah. I mean, when the parents have to teach or respond right away, and there's that quickness, and not taking the time to respond or to pay attention to what's in front of them. Yeah. And then neurolinguistic programming, there's so many layers to it, but you know, what we're hearing is a lot of the messaging, and we can decide if we're going to accept the narratives that we're hearing. So what we're hearing, a lot of people outside of us are hearing that are taking on the narrative. And, you know, of course it's a joke about 2020, and, you know, how are you going to take that into your own, you know, your personal life? If we think about, like taking control, my British friend, that guy, remember him? He's telling me, like, he doesn't accept friend requests on Facebook very quickly. You know, how, like, well, someone says to him, you didn't respond to my request. And he says, well, you have my text, you have my phone number, you have my email. You know, you didn't contact me directly. So what is the precedent here? You know, are we being a reactive culture? And he says it's not pressing. You know, he worked in nursing for many years, and now he teaches stress management. So he's been a wonderful resource. And you know, do we have to accept that Facebook request right away? Do we have to respond to that post right away? Or, you know, where am I now? Right now I am, you know, right now I'm here with you, and this is all I'm doing. You know, if I was, you know, here texting and everything else, you know, so part of, the neurolinguistic programming is the focus is, okay, what language am I using? What language am I choosing to use? And what language, how do I want to shape who I present myself as by the words I use? It's very specific. I actually really enjoyed taking that learning on top of my master's degree in communicative disorders, because with my master's degree, I know about, you know, the resonance and the supralinguistic elements that affect how you're understood, and the disorders of speech and language. And then the neurolinguistic programming side is the excellence in communication. How do we be the best us that we want to be? And well, actually the no side, the no, I know we talked about no, that it's a big for me, right?
Yeah.
Of, working with the little, my little children clients, and also for us adults, it goes back to the say it the way you want it, because as we said before, the unconscious mind does not process negative. The no,
Right.
the unconscious mind does not process that do not. So when you say do not think about or do not write on your book, the person thinks about.
All that gets grabbed is, oh, write on my book. Do write on my book.
Yes, exactly. You're getting this. Yes, exactly. And it's just getting that awareness of what am I saying? What am I expecting? And even if it's well-meaning coaches, well-meaning people, you hear that in different areas, and don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're trying to tell them it's all good, but when you say don't worry about it, it's it's kind of the opposite. And so it's that, do you want, when you're doing your personal mantras, every day, I don't want to say do not, don't eat something from the refrigerator, don't eat this from the refrigerator, right? Don't snack while I'm working. You're telling yourself, don't snack while I'm working. You right?
Because then you're just going to think about snacking while you're working. So yeah, and it can be, so words can be uplifting, or they can stress you out and bring you down. Like, I know when I started going through all of this and I started realizing that when I was kind of coming out of that victim mode, this was probably about 9 years ago, little by little. It took a while. And I didn't know those words. And somehow when I read like, oh, that's victim mode, victim mentality, I was like, what? And then when I understood that, a big part of it was how you are not only perceiving the world. And I know this is not our topic, but what I was going to say is I learned that changing what I was listening to, and it's something that I actually talked about in my last episode about how reconnecting to our soul, noticing, just really noticing and taking, making notes and looking and paying attention to how we are speaking, what we are saying, what things are we talking about, and our mindset, are we looking at things from a emotional point of view of like hope or maybe love, or is everything negative? Is it like doomsday? Like this year, right? 2020.
Right.
We can say like, man, this has been the worst year. So many people have died. So many people this. So many people, just focusing on all the negatives. But it's like, or we can say, man, 2020, yeah, like it was a tough year. Yet so many people started working out more, and so many people spent, really got to know each other. The family spent time together.
Right.
And people started their own businesses because now they had time to do what they always wanted to do. And it was, it's like you can look at it one way or another.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, that's why I think the power of language, the power of our words, it can let us know what our emotional status is. And it can also help us change it,
Right.
for the best. And I think how would you define emotional balance? So emotional balance to you.
It's kind of reminds me, yeah, of being aware of your feelings and deciding for yourself, how do I want to feel? You know, and instead of letting the world affect your emotions. Oh, he said this and now I feel this and then I couldn't do this, right?
Mhm.
It's taking that, wait, he says this, I have the choice to make as to how I want to take it. Do I want to take it? Do I want to say no?
Yeah.
You know?
So it's
So
like based on your values. So like, right? So it's like knowing where I kind of stand in whatever that topic is,
yeah, and I like
and
what
then
you said.
knowing what to allow to affect you.
Yeah, taking it, going inside. You know, I like what you said about 2020, right? Of what you talked about your own talk. You know, there is power in words, right? So you can take the time, if you're one of those people that has time now, take the time and think about, how do we want to um, you know, say, create, like you said, create the world that I live in. You know, how do you want to create your own universe with what you're saying? And, you know, how much do you want, you know, you can decide with your language, how much do I want to accept this and this, you know, do I want to say something sucks, or do I want to say, you know, this other thing, you know, and kind of similar to that, but there's also just, you know, the labels. There's an aspect of labels on this. You know, is it like a family member of mine said the other day, my bad knee, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think your knee would like to be called bad, you know? So it's also getting that awareness. Like, you know, there's so many teachers out there, right? I mean, I can throw you know, a dartboard at thousands of you know, spiritual teachers, but there's the initial awareness. If we pay attention to the words that we use, I think that's a good first step, right? Of, you know, am I creating this pain? Am I creating the bad, right? Am I creating, you know, back to those poor kids that were told, you know, don't be a problem, don't be stupid, you know, when those teachers didn't know that you know, that what they said actually was harming those the children that they were working with, right? So now we're at a higher level of knowledge and knowing what words are we going to use. And yeah, and in my work, um, I want families to talk to their children. I want them to, you know, describe the universe and create the universe that we want, and they want for their children.
And very good. And I love that you do so much work with children. And before I forget, I know that I shared your website in the post, but if anybody wants to, you know, get to know Elizabeth more before I forget, you know, the contact information is in the post written out, but you can go to her website, babblebetter.com. And so, yeah, like I know with 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 children, you know, you work with children that may have a lisp or, you know,
Right.
speech impediment, and as adults some people have that too. um, um, how do you help a kid whose parents may not be equipped to help them, you know what I mean? And in the sense of, it's like, you know, it's like, I think the more prepared parents are and more willing to do
Yes.
the work, the easier, well, it helps the child, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, definitely.
I would imagine, I guess I was a teacher, a long-term teacher for a little bit, and I also did a certification to teach English because English is my second language. And I had a very good tutor since I was little. And she would tell me where to place my tongue to make the correct sounds. So I'm assuming you do the things like that, like exercises so that they pronounce things correctly. And anyways, I just think that's such a great work. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. Yes, it's well, at that really young age, I work with kids, little children, little infants, like 1.5, about approximately a year and a half, 18 months on up. I do work with adults as well, but I also work with their parents. That is a big deal and big part of it. Yeah. So when they're that little, that's one of the reasons why the not saying no is important. The child a lot of times will say something incorrectly. So instead, when they're really, really little, it's about saying it correctly for them or to them, but not saying, no, that was wrong. We want our child to talk. So we want to give them a reward for talking. We want to celebrate their talking. So, if they say something slightly incorrectly, oh, the marker, okay, and they say the caca, I want the caca. Oh, okay, here's the marker. And it's something that I see some parents I just work, at that point I work with the parent of switching it. It's just it's a switch that we have to make. It's not a no, because that's a typical language learning skill, or what happens when you're learning language is that you don't say all of your sounds correctly. That is totally within the average range to say caca for a marker, for example. They're not going to say all of their sounds correctly. And I get a little 2-year-old sometimes, and the parents want them to say R and S, and they're 2. And I just want to, I have to, at that point, I'm doing education. And then sometimes, with the kiddos that are a little bit delayed, or I want to help the parent grow their child's language or their speech, like you said, the tongue in the right place. When they're really young, I do the parent training. This is, say it how you want it, say it how they would say it. I want a marker. Okay. And we give it to them. That is typical language, and parents don't always understand that. And then we see them as they're older, they start to have the improved language, and then we have to make sure that they're combining their language. When it comes to what I do with the parents, the big thing is change one thing. Like if out of everything that we have today, change one thing. You could say, say it as you want it. We could, or I was going to say, what would you say? Don't say no. I don't think so at this point. Right.
Yeah, don't say no.
Right. Instead, we're saying,
yes,
say it as you want it.
You want it.
Right.
And so those are your big tips, like say how you want it, instead of saying, don't slam the door. Say, please close the door carefully.
Yeah. And your language creates your universe. Your language creates your child's universe. In general, that's the idea that I want you to walk away with today, is there is a lot of power in the words that we use and that we hear, and growing that awareness. So change the one thing, as your listeners, you can pick the thing that resonated the most with you, and know, my language creates my universe. It doesn't explain it. It doesn't describe it. It creates. Our language creates our universe.
So very true. And we do have a question. I didn't see it. Let me just read some of the comments. Trisha says, trying to focus on the positive when reacting to your emotions. And then she put a heart. So she liked that teaching. Martha said, oops, I think that was a while back. Probably in regards to some parenting.
Wow.
Anna is from Greece, and she's in Greece, and she says, we say in Greek that the tongue has no bones but can break bones. Yeah, that's true. So we can hurt others more with our words, sometimes more than we can, with our fist or something like that. And the question that we have, it's from Jace, and it says, how do you deal with the extended family who interfere with the upbringing of our children? What is the best way of identifying early and managing it in the best interest of our children? So like you want to you want to raise your child a certain way, but then you have, let's say, your mom or your dad, grandparents are giving input of the old way of doing something. So how do you deal with that?
Oh, there's so many levels and layers. You know what I just thought of when we were on break there, that you're talking about being raised bilingually. And I was also, my mom is from Costa Rica, and, that's very much the old way. And at the same time, I love their joie de vivre, their passion. Yes. Do you know the statement that the tourists grabbed a hold of? Do you know what their like slogan, so to speak?
Yes. I just forgot. I blanked out, but it's like a fun thing.
Remember?
Everybody says it for Costa Rica.
Yeah. Pura vida.
Pura vida. Yeah. Like,
yes.
Pure life.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, when I was growing up, going there to Costa Rica every year, it was just so much joy, just the people, it came from people you might not know anyone, you're passing them on the street and they say, pura vida, pura vida. That's like your greeting, not hello. It's pura vida. Yes. And that just really just spoke to my soul at a really young age. And, and then the Spanish just adds to it. Right. And just like the rich, delicious words that they choose to describe their life. So when it comes to family, there's the support. So, I mean, it comes from a good place, right? And when we've got those supportive people, we want to remember that, and come to them with that love. And then there's, what words do we use to explain to them, this is what is important to me, this is what I'm working on. I've had to work with different families where the grandparents take care of the child, and sometimes I even work with the grandparent, or I might tell a grandparent that the speech pathologist says, so
make you the bad person.
Not bad person,
but you know what I mean.
I'm the expert.
Yes, the expert.
It's time to listen to me, right? Obviously, it depends on your relationship with your family. Setting the expectations. I'm the parent. Every family is different, obviously, but in general, have that positive, I appreciate your interest, especially if they're taking care of your child for you while you're working and it's free, and we want to appreciate them, and we want to make sure our child grows up with that, knowing they can hit whatever, they can do anything that they want to and stand on their feet if they or metaphorically fall, right? So there's that balance, there's the respect and say it as you want it. Right?
Yes, that's good. And yeah, that's a lesson for us as adults. If we didn't have those tools, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, it's like if you've never heard of this before, I hope that this has helped somebody, at least somebody, come to the realization that the language that we allow in our surroundings, whether it's the TV, the music that we listen to, the people that we surround ourselves with, the conversations that we're having, we can choose our friends. We can distance ourselves from people. And it's okay because, life is a cycle. There's a beginning and an end. And it doesn't mean that you don't care for those friends or those family members, but you can always just distance yourself and just kind of create some boundaries where you can spend some time with them, spend the holidays, and just avoid certain topics, right? And also have the awareness that they are who they are, and they may not understand you and your ways, and it's okay. And so with language, it's we decide. It's basically what we're saying. We can decide what we want to say, what we allow in our environment, what we can hear, what we want to learn, and we decide based on our emotional state. So if we're in a low state, in a low frequency, if we're sad and angry or feeling shame and guilt, that's the language and that's the environment that we're in. And hopefully with time, you start up leveling and growing, and you have friends around you that are helping you uplift, or you are helping others, right?
Well, I'd actually like to go kind of before that is, okay, what are we accepting in, and what is causing that sadness or the grief, or right? Like, you're not just there. There's something that is causing it, right? I've been in homes of families where the TV never gets turned off. Like, even when I have my sessions, sometimes they just turn down the volume. Like, okay, if you're going to have this going on at all times, and what are we, even just passive letting words come in, and, it's getting an awareness of what is causing the stress, what is causing the negative emotions, right? The feeling down, or however you want to describe it. Is it something in my life that I can do something about? Is it, I know people that, some friends of mine just actually the other day were saying they couldn't look at Facebook anymore because everything that they were reading was bringing them just down, like their emotions, like, were feeling bad, and they just had to close, so they had that awareness.
And that could be solved by unfriending people or stop following certain people, right?
Or
yes, not that the social media is bad, is who are you following? Who are you connected to?
What are you reading? Are you reading the posts? Are you reading the stories? Are you, right? So it's
we can unfriend or unfollow whoever.
And it's taking that level of control back. You don't have to watch this or that on the news. You don't have to accept all of, or the national, or, of course, in the United States, we don't have to accept the narrative of this is messed up, or this is terrible, or this people are that, it's really a part of, of getting that internal awareness. What kind of media am I getting in, and how do I feel when I say certain things? Like I was talking about earlier about the labels. My baby's dad is, my child's dad that's different than my ex. And if you just say my ex, try that on, my ex.
My ex. Yeah, that reminds me of all the past, the relationship between me and him. But if I say my baby's dad, it's just focusing on the relationship between him and my son. Did I get it? Cha-ching.
Yeah, or just, yay, jazz hands. No, just kidding. Right, it's that is the connection at this point. That is the connection that he has.
Oh, I don't know if everybody's found frozen. Elizabeth, you're frozen. So let me read some comments. Maybe Elizabeth will get back online. So thank you, Jace. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate you guys. And I hope that answer was helpful. Okay, yeah, Liz is frozen. So let me see if I missed any comments, but I'm here. So let me see. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, she's gone. So I think we'll end it here. Sorry, we lost you, Liz. Elizabeth, I appreciate you. We didn't get to say goodbye properly, but I hope you guys really enjoy this show. Oh, yes, thank you, Corey. I didn't read your comment earlier. So yeah, the importance of language. It helps our emotional balance. And, it's really up to us. And so even if you don't have kids, you can notice and pay attention to how words affected you when you were a child, right? And even if you don't have kids, you're surrounded, you may have kids around you. You may have a niece or a nephew or your friends. Oh, she's back. Let me get her on so she can say bye. There you are. I was starting to say bye. So thank you for being back. So we can.
I apologize. I don't know what happened.
It's okay. But so yeah, I was just emphasizing that our topic was awesome. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody's saying thank you and great show. Corey says hi.
Hi, Corey. And
yeah, so you guys feel free to contact us, follow us, connect with us if you are inclined to do so. And
thanks everyone for watching. And yes, I have Babble Better on Facebook and Instagram, and it's and my website babblebetter.com if you'd like to know more. Thank you all for being here. This was a great time. Thank you so much, Esme.
Thank you, everybody. So, okay, so with that note, we'll say bye, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Elizabeth, again. We'll see you guys later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.